Believe Karmelo Anthony is innocent even after he admitted this to police?
I believe Karmelo has the right to be able to create the same legal defense that anybody is afforded under these state of Texas laws and Constitution. I believe if Karmelo wants to display his self-defense claim, he should be entitled in a court of law without interference. That's what I believe.
Does Karmelo Anthony's family believe he is innocent?
I believe Karmelo Anthony's family wants the process for him to correction. I believe that the Anthony family wants to respect this process and get him prepared for his self-defense claim. I believe the Anthony family feels that, yes, Karmelo Anthony is innocent of this, and they are going to support Karmelo Anthony in this entire process in getting prepared.
Would you agree that the Metcalf family is the victim here?
Any loss of life is a tragedy. Any child that loses his life is a tragedy, no matter the circumstance. That's my answer.
On April 17th, the family of Karmelo Anthony spoke for the first time. But before the press conference began, Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff, says he was escorted out by police. Mr. Metcalf has said that he came there to pray with the family, but you had him removed. Why?
We wanted to give our children.
I don't know anything about Mr. Metcalf coming to pray about the family. He never expressed that to any of the staff.
You said the father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful. Just shows you all the character. He was not invited. You say it was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Do you want to clarify that?
You know, at that time, I'm not above reproach or whatever.
Boy. So we got to follow up on the Karmelo Anthony story, the story involving the teenager who happened to be black, stabbing another teenager who happened to be white, Austin Metcalf, in the heart over a seat at a track meet, okay? And this story has now gotten to the point where Karmelo Anthony has been indicted for first-degree murder, okay? And the race hustlers and the pro-blacks are not very happy about this, okay? They're very upset because they have essentially told themselves that Karmelo Anthony is innocent, even though there's no evidence or proof to suggest that he has a strong case of self-defense at all. But again, they've told themselves that because he killed a white person, okay, and that the system is racist, therefore it must be self-defense, right? Because black men never get a fair shot, right, in the justice system. So therefore, again, this guy is innocent, right? But it looks as if Karmelo likely is not going to have his self-defense claim hold up in court, at least as of right now, okay? But again, he has been indicted, which is not a good sign for the pro-blacks.
The Frisco 18-year-old accused of stabbing and killing another student at a track meet was indicted today for first-degree murder. Karmelo Anthony is accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in the stadium stands during the April meet. Anthony was 17 at the time and has been charged as an adult. Fox 4's Amelia Jones has more tonight. Amelia.
Steve, the indictment is the natural next step in any criminal case, and it paves the way for the case to move closer to a potential trial. The Collin County DA's office and Karmelo Anthony's defense attorney released video statements about the indictment. Both shared that they will be ready to present their case in court when the time comes. Tuesday, a Collin County grand jury indicted 18-year-old Karmelo Anthony for first-degree murder. He's accused of stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Frisco ISD track meet earlier this year. Anthony was 17 at the time of the stabbing, and he's being tried as an adult. The Collin County District Attorney's Office released a rare video statement about the indictment.
When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves.
Anthony's defense attorney also put out a video statement reiterating Anthony's claims that he acted in self-defense.
We expect that when the full story is heard, the prosecution will not be able to rule out the reasonable doubt that Karmelo Anthony may have acted in self-defense.
The case has gained national attention and set off a social media firestorm. Much of what's swirling online is misinformation. The full story likely won't come out until a potential trial.
There's certainly a lot more to learn. The indictment really focuses on what we would call the elements of a crime.
Russell Wilson is a former Dallas County prosecutor who's not involved in this case. He says the misinformation could be one reason why both sides chose to record statements on such a procedural matter.
I just think it's a reflection of the serious nature of the case and the heightened public interest.
Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, sent us a statement about the indictment. It says, quote, "I am pleased that we are moving forward. With the first-degree murder indictment, it now goes into the court system. I fully believe that justice will be served for Austin Metcalf. I look forward to the forthcoming trial, but it will never bring back my son." It will be up to the court to set a date for the trial. In the meantime, the defense and prosecution will prepare their cases. The defense will see what information the state has gathered and will do their own investigation.
Certainly, there will be a lot more things happening in between now and then, but certainly when the jury trial does come, the world will be watching.
Yeah, the world will be watching, and in the meantime, the Karmelo Anthony family has put out a statement, okay, because it seems like they're in full-blown panic mode. In fact, they're asking for more money, right? They're asking for more money after this indictment, okay, because apparently they're going broke, okay, even though they've already received hundreds of thousands of dollars. But for some reason, they need more money, okay? So let's read here from Minister Dominique Alexander, which, by the way, I mean, this guy being a so-called minister is again one of these things where, again, I believe they're creating more atheists, right? You're creating more atheists when a guy like this can run around and call himself a minister. I'm just saying, this is not the title that this guy should be using. But anyways, today we were informed by the Collin County District Attorney that Karmelo Anthony has been indicted. As many of you know, this is the first step in a criminal proceeding, and now the legal process will move forward toward trial. Over the past several months, I've worked closely with Karmelo's family to ensure they have the proper legal representation and the support they need to navigate this incredibly complex and emotionally charged case. Let me be honest. It's easy to go on social media and give an opinion. It's easy to post without facts. And sadly, even some people who claim to be supporters have shared misinformation, not always with bad intent, but still harmful. This case involves multiple minors and sensitive details that I cannot and will not speak about publicly. That's why, from the beginning, I have refused to let this be tried in the court of public opinion. Again, I'm going to touch on this after I finish the statement, okay? Because this guy, he's been a weasel, okay? That's what's happening here. He's a complete and total slime ball. There will be a trial. There will be a courtroom, and NGAN is committed to making sure Karmelo receives a fair trial, free from lies, outside interference, and bigotry. To the racists, the bigots, and those filled with hate who've targeted Karmelo, his family, and even myself, you do not intimidate us. We're not backing down. This case is yet another example of what it means to be black in America, where even our self-defense is questioned, scrutinized, and politicized. My involvement, like many others, came as a direct response to the overwhelming hate, threats, and outside influence that have surrounded this case since day one. Yeah, if that is what you're concerned about, statements like this definitely do not help when it comes to, the so-called hate, threats, and outside influence. In fact, it actually probably promotes more of these things that he claims that he is worried about. But again, that's what he wants. He wants that because his job is to make some money, right? Because that's exactly what they're doing, okay? As we move forward, I asked you, pray for the Anthony family. Stand with us in the fight against white supremacy. Support the truth and due process. We are steady. We are focused. We are committed. Let justice speak in the courtroom. Minister Dominique Alexander, president and founder of Next Generation Action Network. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This individual is basically trying to hide behind this claim that because this involves multiple minors, he can't give out sensitive details about what happened, right? Now, again, I find this to be fascinating because this individual has not articulated why is this a strong case of self-defense, right? I mean, I understand that Karmelo said that this is self-defense, but that doesn't make it self-defense, right? Because he said it was self-defense, right? You can come out here and articulate what about this is self-defense, right? How is this a strong case of self-defense, okay? He has not done that. And I think part of the reason why he has not done that is because he knows that Karmelo does not have a strong case of self-defense. This is why when pressed by News Nation on whether or not he personally believes that this is self-defense, he can't answer the question because he doesn't actually believe that it's self-defense, okay? And a vast majority of the attorneys, the lawyers that I have listened to that have examined this case have said that this is a very weak case of self-defense, that Karmelo does not have a strong case, okay? And there's no evidence or proof as of yet, okay, that Karmelo was jumped or that he had any reason to stab Austin Metcalf in the heart, to use deadly force.
From my view, the state has a very high prospect, almost to the level of legal certainty, of disproving every one of the required elements of self-defense beyond any reasonable doubt. This simply does not look anything like a self-defense case, a legitimate self-defense case, based on the information we now have. We can start with kind of the core issue, which is proportionality. So deadly defensive force was used here, right? Karmelo Anthony is arguing, I was justified in stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart with a knife, killing him, of course. Clearly, that's deadly defensive force. So where's the deadly force threat? Remember, the legal question here is, did Karmelo Anthony have a reasonable perception of an unlawful, imminent, deadly force threat from Austin Metcalf? Where's the deadly force threat? Now, deadly force threats can appear in lots of different ways. It could have been a weapon in the hand of Austin Metcalf. There's zero evidence of that. No one's claiming that. But a weapon's not necessarily required. In theory, you can imagine a scenario in which it's not just Austin Metcalf threatening, as claimed, Karmelo Anthony, but it's Austin Metcalf and his also sizable brother and other members of the football team. And so you have a deadly force threat embodied in disparity of numbers. The force being threatened against Karmelo Anthony in this hypothetical is not just the force that can be brought to bear by Austin Metcalf, it's the collective force of Austin Metcalf and everyone who's working collaboratively with him to bring force to bear against Karmelo Anthony. In that circumstance, if Karmelo Anthony were being attacked by a bunch of people, maybe collectively that force is a deadly force threat, a threat readily capable of causing Karmelo Anthony death or serious bodily injury. But there's zero evidence of that here. Even Karmelo Anthony has never claimed that. Not when he spoke to the police, not afterwards. So the evidence on the ground is that Austin Metcalf simply asked Karmelo Anthony to move and perhaps touched him. That's the evidence in this case. No reasonable person can perceive that as being an imminent threat of unlawful, deadly force harm.
Yeah. So again, what I find to be fascinating about this Dominique Alexander character is that he continues to claim that this is self-defense, right? But he's not articulating why is it self-defense, right? While at the same time, they are asking for more money, okay? Because again, apparently, the family is financially struggling, okay? Like, for example, let's read here. This is from Sarah Fields, an independent journalist. She says, breaking! Karmelo Anthony submitted an indigent packet to the Collin County Court requesting court-appointed legal representation as an indigent, financially destitute defendant. However, just 24 hours ago, the Anthony family updated their Give, Send, Go campaign to reflect a need to raise an additional $1.4 million for a quote-unquote legal team. Karmelo Anthony's mother, Kayla Haynes, who manages the Give, Send, Go, stated on April 17th, 2 months ago, that they had just gained access to the funds. At that time, they had already raised $350,000. The fundraiser has now reached $538,000. According to a source, their current known attorney, Mike Howard, is more than likely charging a retainer fee of $10,000 to $30,000 and charges $400 to $500 per hour. Where did the money go? Why do they need $1.4 million? Will they be granted indigence? And an appointed attorney with a Give, Send, Go of this magnitude, is this considered fraud? She says, clarification, the Anthony family updated their Give, Send, Go campaign to reflect a need to raise an additional amount of funds, bringing the total to $1.4 million for a legal team. And, you know, ultimately today, we have not heard from the Karmelo team in regards to why is it that their son is innocent, right? We haven't heard anything at all. In fact, they're posting online that they don't actually need to tell anybody anything in regards to why they should support their son. They just need to send them money, right? That's essentially what they are saying here, okay? Drew Anthony, who is the father of Karmelo, he says, we are not here to try this case on social media. We are not interested in online arguments or judgment from those who do not know the full story. Yeah, so again, why don't you just tell us the full story? Tell us the full story. But no, they're not doing that. Karmelo will defend himself in the court of law, not in the court of public opinion. Okay, so what they're saying is that we don't have to tell you anything, right? We don't have to tell you why he's innocent, right? But today, we humbly ask, please consider making another contribution to the fund for Karmelo. Please continue to share it within your network. Please stand with us for truth, for justice, for our son. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Wow. Absolutely incredible. You can't make this up. We don't have to tell you why this is self-defense, but just send us money, right? We don't want to tell you if we have a strong case or not, whether or not it's a waste of money to send us money, but just send it to us anyways, right? Because the hate, right? The hate and the bigotry. Okay, you got to fight against the white supremacist. And yeah, the family has in fact asked for more money, right? On the Give, Send, Go. Okay? They asked for more money. So again, what they want here is a total of almost $1.4 million. So they want almost $1 million more dollars. For what? For what? Why is it that they want almost $1 million more dollars? Because, I mean, certainly, do you need $1.4 million to defend this dude in court? And again, what really blows my mind is that you're asking people for $1.4 million, but you can't articulate why is it that this is legitimately self-defense? But see, this is how stupid the handlers of Karmelo Anthony believe that the EBT people are, right? This is what they believe. They believe that the EBT people are so stupid that they're going to give over $1 million and they don't have to articulate why is it that this is a strong case of self-defense. Because right now, he does not have a strong case of self-defense. And if you're going to give money to a legal fund, right? First and foremost, you might want to make sure that money is actually being used for legal fees, which in this case, I highly doubt all this money is being used for legal fees. I think that the race hustlers, the pro-blacks, the ambulance chasers, again, like Dominique Alexander and others, they're taking some off the top, right? Which is, again, why they need more money, because the woke handlers, they got to get their piece, right? They got to get their money, right? They got to get their fee, right? Which, again, is why they need more money. So, again, if you're going to donate money to something like this, then you might want to make sure that, hey, this guy has a decent chance of prevailing in court. But, again, these people think that their audience, right, the pro-blacks are so dumb, they're so stupid that they don't even have to articulate it. They don't even have to articulate why he has a good chance of beating these charges to come out and to continue to ask for money. Ask for over $1 million, right? They really believe that, hey, these people just burn their money on fire, which they are. They are willing to do it. They're literally willing to throw their money away for a case that is just not very strong in favor of the defendant. It's fascinating stuff. It really is. I mean, it should be offensive. It should be offensive that this family is now asking for more money, over $1 million, okay, without having articulated any reason why this is a strong case of self-defense. They have not even given their side of the story. But you're asking for $1 million. All they're saying, well, self-defense. Okay, but why was it self-defense? Why was it self-defense, right? Was he actually jumped? Was there actual physical fist fight? Like, what happened? They're not even telling people what happened, but they're asking for over $1 million. But again, you're going to have the race hustlers and again, the pro-blacks, okay, the ambulance chasers. Again, they're trying to get their money, right? That's why they need more money, okay? Because this has become a giant grift. Like, for example, this guy, Arthur Watkins Jr., okay, who's, I guess he's the head of the American Freedmen Fund, right? One of these race hustling institutions, okay, taking advantage of people's ignorance. He's calling out Sarah Fields, who is the journalist that basically reported this. He's saying she is falsely claiming Karmelo has no legal team. That's a lie. Filing an indigent packet doesn't mean he's unrepresented. It protects eligibility. His fundraiser never ended. It rolled into a higher goal to meet rising legal costs. That's normal. We helped secure his right to graduate. Now they're mad we did. Yeah, so again, what this guy wants you to believe is that Karmelo's legal costs, right, have already exceeded what, $500,000, right? And they need another $1 million. They need another $1 million for this, okay? But I don't think that's actually what's happening. I think that money, again, is not going only to legal expenses. That money is going into the pockets of these race hustlers. And again, that is why they're running out of cash, okay? This dude released a full statement here that basically says the American Freedmen Legal Fund firmly rejects the misleading and inflammatory statements being pushed by Sarah and censored regarding Karmelo Anthony's legal situation and public support campaign. First, Karmelo Anthony has legal representation. Filing an indigent packet with the court is a standard legal safeguard that preserves eligibility for assistance. It does not cancel or contradict private legal retention, especially in complex or high-cost cases. Suggesting otherwise is either legally uninformed or intentionally deceptive. Second, the Give, Send, Go campaign has not ended or restarted. It has simply rolled over into a higher goal to reflect ongoing legal costs. The Anthony family has been transparent about their use of funds and future needs. This is not fraud. It is how legal fundraising works for most working class families facing extended prosecution. Sarah and Censor attempted to weaponize financial filings and attack a family in crisis is not journalism. It's harassment dressed in outrage. Yeah, so again, this grift is just so in your face. And again, I don't really understand why anybody would donate to this, right? Why the public as a whole, at least put it this way, I think the public as a whole does see through it, right? But again, it's a very, maybe it's a small group of people, right? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's an internet thing. It certainly is basically an internet thing at this point, right? But there's just a group of people who are so delusional, right? They're so caught up in the race thing that it clouds their judgment, right? It clouds their ability to see reality for what it is, right? Because Karmelo is black and he stabbed a white kid in the chest. Therefore, it has to be self-defense because Karmelo said it was self-defense. And in America, the black man never gets the opportunity to claim self-defense, especially against a white person. Therefore, he got to be innocent, right? And again, I get it. He's innocent until proven guilty. But at the same time, at least make the defense, show some evidence as to why this is self-defense, right? Make them actually work for the money, right? Make them actually reveal some details to reveal their side of the story as to why they believe it's self-defense. They haven't said anything about why this is self-defense or why Karmelo Anthony has a decent chance of prevailing. They've said nothing except this is self-defense and the white supremacists are after us, send us money, and that's all they need. That's all they need. And you got these ignorants, right? The EBT people, they're just sending money, okay? And now they're saying, look, send us $1 million more, right? $1 million more because $500,000 wasn't enough, okay? We need more. Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.